Hello students, welcome back to VA NEET Academy. In today's class, we are going to learn one of the most important topics in cell biology, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. Now this topic is frequently tested in NEET and forms the foundation of understanding cell organelles. Let's begin. So let's begin today's class, prokaryotic cells versus eukaryotic cells. Now, all the living organisms are made up of cells, as we have seen in our previous classes, and based on the presence and absence of the true nucleus, cells can be classified as prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Okay, so let us try and understand what is a prokaryotic cell. Okay, what is a prokaryotic cell? Now when we define this prokaryotes, we can say that these cells are simple primitive. Okay, these cells are simple primitive cells that lack a true nucleus and membrane bound organelles. Okay, so this is how we can define our prokaryotic cell as cells. These are the cells which are simple, primitive and lack a true nucleus and membrane bound organelles. Now let us see what are the important features of this prokaryotic cells. Okay, very important features of prokaryotic cells. First important feature is that they have no nuclear membrane. They have no nuclear membrane surrounded by the genetic material. Okay, and the DNA is present. It's not that the DNA is not present. DNA is present. Okay, in a region called as nucleoid. Okay, so we don't call it as nucleus, here we call it as nucleoid, right? And membrane bound organelles. Okay, membrane bound organelles are absent. Now what are the membrane bound organelles? For example, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, etc. They are all absent and usually they are small in size. Okay, they are usually small in size, approximately from 1 to 10 micrometer in size. Okay, and these are mostly unicellular. I hope you all know what is unicellular. It is an organism made up of only one cell. Okay. Now the another important feature is that they divide by binary fission. Okay, they divide by binary fission. Okay, so these are the important key features of a prokaryotics. That is, there is no nuclear membrane, DNA is present in a region called as nucleoid, membrane bound organelles are completely absent, small in size, usually 1 to 10 micrometers, mostly unicellular and divide by a process called as binary fission. Okay. Now if I ask you to draw a simple prokaryotic cell, let us now try and draw a simple prokaryotic cell. Okay, a very simple prokaryotic cell. So all the prokaryotes usually have the cell membrane. Okay, they have the cell membrane followed by the cell wall, and this is followed by the capsule. So all the prokaryotes have these three important layers. Okay, now I told you there is no nucleus but nucleoid. Nucleoid is a region where the DNA is present. So this becomes your nucleoid. Now apart from the DNA present in the nucleoid region, usually the prokaryotic cells have something called as plasmids, which are nothing but a circular DNA. Okay, and then the capsule is surrounded by cilia. Okay, cilia, which is a kind of a locomotory organ. Okay, it also has one more locomotory organ called as flagellum. Now this flagellum arises from the cell wall of the bacteria. Okay, so you need to start from this area, right? And then apart from that, it has lots of smaller ribosomes in them. So this forms the simple bacterial cell. Okay, now can you help me out label this diagram? Let's try and do that. So first we started with this one, cell membrane, isn't it? This was followed by capsule, sorry, cell wall, I'm sorry. This was cell wall. This was followed by capsule. Okay. Now what is this, students? These are flagellum. This is cilia. And this is your plasmid. And what is a plasmid? It is a circular DNA. Okay. Now what is this? This is a nucleoid, the place where genetic material is present. Apart from that, you have lots of smaller granule kind of thing, which is ribosomes, which helps in the formation of proteins. And of course, apart from all this, you also have cytoplasm. So this is a basic diagram of a bacterial cell. Okay, so basic diagram of a bacterial cell. I hope you understood. This was clear, isn't it? Okay. Now we will start with our eukaryotic cell. So what is a eukaryotic cell? Okay, so if I ask you to define what is eukaryotic cell, they are the advanced cell. Okay, they are not simple and primitive as we saw it in prokaryotes. They are the advanced cells that has true nucleus surrounded by a nuclear membrane, surrounded by a nuclear membrane, and also has membrane bound organelles. Okay, so this is the definition of a eukaryotic cell, completely opposite to the prokaryotes. They are the advanced cell that has true nucleus surrounded by a nuclear membrane, which was absent in prokaryotes, and has a nuclear bound organelles, which was again absent in prokaryotes. So now let us see the important features of a eukaryotic cell. Okay. So, important feature include well defined nucleus. It has well defined nucleus is present. Okay. It has a well defined nucleus. It has membrane bound organelles. So, membrane bound organelles is also present. Okay. Usually large in size, approximately from 10 to 100 micrometers. Okay. Now, this can be both unicellular as well as multicellular. Okay. It can be both unicellular as well as multicellular, and they divide by two processes, mitosis and meiosis. Okay. So, there in prokaryotes we saw the division was only binary fission, but here it uses both mitosis as well as meiosis. Okay. And these are more complex. These are more complex, but yet they are much more organized. They are more complex cell, but then organized as well. Okay. Now, let us try and draw a simple diagram of a eukaryotic cell now. Okay. So, let us try and draw a simple diagram of a eukaryotes. We saw the prokaryotic cell. Now, let us try and draw the eukaryote. Okay. So, eukaryote is much more simpler for me because it has just cell membrane and no cell wall and no capsule. It has cell membrane, a well defined nucleus. Okay. A well defined nucleus. Near the nucleus we can find endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. So, these are the endoplasmic reticulum which we can find it near the nuclear cells. Okay. Apart from that, we have something called as Golgi bodies, which is also present. So, these are all the membrane bound organelles which can be seen in a eukaryotic cell, and this was not there in a prokaryotic cell. Now, this is your lysosome and the protein forming apparatus called as ribosomes are there. Okay. And of course, one more important organelle which we call it as a powerhouse of a cell, which is our mitochondria, a very important organelle in a eukaryotic cell. Okay. So, this is a very simple plain diagram of a eukaryotic cell. Now, help me out label this as we were learning about the eukaryotes just before. So, this is your cell membrane. Okay. And this is your ribosomes. This is your lysosomes. This is your Golgi apparatus. Okay. And this is your mitochondria. Right. This is your nucleus. And this is your nucleolus. Okay. Apart from that, you have a liquid fluid portion in a cell called as cytoplasm. Got it? So these are the basic, important and simple diagram of a eukaryotic cell. Okay, so if you see the key features, it has a well defined nucleus present, we saw in the diagram, membrane bound organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, lysosome we have seen, usually large in size, can be both unicellular as well as multicellular, divide by mitosis and meiosis, and more complex, but yet they are much more organized. Okay, now let us try now to compare these two. Okay, now we will just try to compare the prokaryote and eukaryote, which we have learned just now, right? So let us try and compare using the features they have. So the feature prokaryote, prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. I am damn sure you all will be able to answer this as we proceed and I ask you the questions. Now the first feature, nucleus. What about prokaryotes? It's present or absent? It is absent, and this is present in eukaryotic cell. Okay, and then nuclear membrane, this is present or absent? This is absent in eukaryotic cell. This is present in prokaryotic cell, and this is present in eukaryotic cell. Okay, followed by DNA. DNA, yes, this is present in both eukaryote and prokaryote. Here it is circular in shape and naked. Okay, whereas here it is linear and usually associated with a protein called as histones. Okay, protein called as histones, right? Now next is membrane bound organelles. Membrane bound organelles. This is present or absent here? This is absent in prokaryote, this is present in eukaryotic cell. Cell size, what about the cell size? This is 1 to 10 micrometers, this is 10 to 100 micrometers. Okay, how about cell division? Cell division, this takes place by binary fission. Okay, and this takes place by mitosis and meiosis. Okay, now we have seen all this. Let us look at some examples of a prokaryote. Examples are bacteria and cyanobacteria. Okay, cyanobacteria are also called as your blue-green algae, right? And in eukaryotes you can definitely say the examples are plants, animals, fungi, etc. Okay, so these are the major difference or the comparison of a prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. I hope the class was clear. Any doubts, do comment and follow. Remember students, no true nucleus is equal to prokaryotes, true nucleus is equal to eukaryotes. Now this simple concept helps us solve many NEET questions. If you like this video, please subscribe and share with your NEET friends. See you in the next video.